They say the fire came in the dead of winter, but long before the flames, there was peace. There was a time, long ago, when the cold lands thrived, not in spite of the winter, but because of it. High in the silver peaks of the north watched a guardian, Yuna, the last ember of winter. Born of flame and frost, she was no mere beast. She was the balance. Where her paws touched snow, the ice softened. Where her breath rose, clouds parted. Beneath her unseen gaze, peace took root. In the valley below, life bloomed even in the dead of winter. The village of Istura, hidden among trees, knew warmth, harvest, and harmony. They sang songs by firelight, danced in the snow, and told stories of the white flame that watched over them from the mountains. They never saw her, not truly, but they felt her, and in their hearts, they believed. This was the age of Emberlight. But even the deepest peace casts a shadow. Far beyond the silver peaks and snow-fed rivers, where the land cracked and twisted under forgotten storms, something moved. In the hollow of the black hills, beneath stone and silence, a breath was drawn, a breath that had not stirred in 100 winters. The black beast, long buried by flame and frost, opened his eyes once more. His name had been erased by time, his shape feared only in stories told to frighten children. But now, he returned. A lion of monstrous size, his mane dark as ash, his body woven from storm clouds and smoke. Where he walked, the ground withered. Where he gazed, the frost itself recoiled. He had not forgotten Yuna. He had not forgiven the flame. And now, he would claim the forest she had kept from him. The forest spoke in whispers. Not with words, but with the curling of leaves, the cracking of ice where it should not crack, the silence of birds who once sang at dawn. High on her perch, Yuna stood still, her eyes fixed to the horizon. The blue flame of her tail flickered, just once. She felt it. A shiver not of cold, but of something older. A weight pressing down on the world she had guarded for centuries. Below, the people of Istura carried on in bliss. Farmers tended frost-ripened grain. Children tossed snow between pine trunks. Lanterns swayed above the market square as songs warmed the air. But the frost no longer yielded underfoot. The wind no longer sang, and in the sky above the mountains, clouds began to coil like watching beasts. The ember still burned, but it was no longer alone. It began with silence, not the peaceful hush of falling snow, but a silence wrong and hollow. The northern ridge went still. No birds, no wolves, no wind. Then came the smoke. Thick and black, it poured from the trees like blood from a wound. Villagers climbed rooftops and hills, staring northward as the white sky turned to ash. The hunters from the outpost did not return. Only their horses came back, limping, silent, eyes wide with terror. Children called out for fathers who would never return. Mothers searched the silence for sons long gone. Wives wept for husbands lost to the dark. Each family bore their sorrow alone, with no hand to hold. Yuna was already moving. She descended the mountain in silence, her paws melting ice beneath her. Not even the elders in the village noticed her pass. But when she reached the ridge, nothing remained. The forest was gone, charred and torn as if something enormous had dragged claws through it. Trees blackened to bone. Snow turned to soot. Dead men in the forest. And there, in the center of it all, one massive paw print burned into the earth. The black beast had arrived. Night fell, but it brought no stars. Only smoke coiling above the treetops, and the scent of ruin drifting through the pines. Yuna stood at the edge of the scorched valley, her breath shallow, her flame dim. For the first time in an age, the Guardian hesitated. She could flee, vanish into the snow, as the ancients once did when the world grew cruel. But then she heard it, laughter. Low, cruel, distant, a sound not made for this world. And she knew, if she did not burn, nothing would be left to warm. So she turned from the ash and climbed once more, to the place where would meet wind and water. The old bridge, sagging above the dam's frozen edge. Ancient, forgotten, and perfect. There, Yuna laid her trap, not with ropes or blades, but with memory. She howled once, into the dark. And the echo reached the beast. The beast came with fury in his bones. He moved through the forest like a storm let loose, trees torn from roots, rivers frozen mid-flow, the very sky trembling above his roar. Yuna met him in the clearing of the burned ridge, blue fire licking from her tail, eyes narrowed. She would not run. With a howl that split the air, she charged. Fox and lion clashed beneath the weeping trees, claws and teeth, flame and shadow. The beast was power made flesh. Every strike from Yuna was met with greater force. She leapt. He slammed her down. She burned his side. He raked her back. Blood stained the snow, hers. She rose again, trembling, bruised, slower. She could not beat him, not like this, but she didn't need to. Panting, she turned and fled into the dark. The beast gave chase, laughing, roaring, drunk on the promise of victory. Across the ice, over the ridge, down to the place where wind screamed and water waited. To the old wooden bridge. There, with fire in her breath and pain in her bones, Yuna stood at its center. The beast followed, all fury, all arrogance. And when his paws struck the weak center of the bridge, Yuna struck. Blue flame surged from her mouth, wild, brilliant, final. The bridge ignited. Wood cracked. The beast howled as fire gripped him. Then, with a roar that shook the heavens, it fell. Into the frozen dam below. Into silence. And as Yuna unleashed the last of her strength to destroy the beast, she dissolved into blue flame, leaving behind nothing but silence and the memory of her sacrifice. Morning came slowly. The smoke had cleared, but the air still trembled with what had passed. Villagers climbed the ridge, eyes wide with sorrow and wonder. Where the forest had burned, new shoots now pushed through the snow, as if the earth itself had exhaled. But Yuna was gone. No body, no blood, only charred wood, steaming ice, and a single blue ember, flickering at the water's edge. The beast had vanished too. No shadow in the sky, no roar in the wind. His fury, quenched. The people of Istura rebuilt. They sang softer songs. They told longer stories. And every year, when the snow first fell, they lit a lantern of blue flame and placed it on the bridge reborn. Not to mourn, but to remember. For they knew, the last ember of winter had burned not to destroy, but to save. And though the fox was gone, her fire still watched over them. If you enjoyed this video, show some support. Like, comment, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell. It really helps keeps this stories coming. See you on the next one.